there are three critical things in chess that you should keep an eye on if you want to play a good chess game, because otherwise you're just randomly shuffling the pieces around, and I'm gonna demonstrate you in this live 5-minute games what are those three critical things you must know and how to use it properly in your own games. So number one thing is to develop all of your pieces. That is so important. I never am too tired to repeat it, because so many, especially lower rated players, are just forgetting to develop all of the pieces. They're starting fine, they're just doing what should be done, like, I don't know, bishop e7, castles here, but at some point they forget to finish their development, and so they get into trouble because they're playing with just a handful of their pieces, whereas their opponent is just developing all of it, and yeah, he just destroys them. So that is what we are gonna do here. Bishop e7, our opponent is preparing some attack, and he might make the same mistake of not developing all of the pieces, while we are gonna do it. I mean, there are some fancy moves like b5, we need to create the counterplay. So number one thing is to develop all of your pieces. Number two is to make sure that your king is secure. So many players are making this mistake, they are just forgetting about the security of their king, and that leads to an immediate loss on their side. And the third one is to create a plan how you're gonna crush your opponent. It's so important. I mean, playing with a bad plan is better than playing without a plan, because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So our plan is to attack on the queen side here, because that is where we are stronger, and so we are gonna bring all of the resources there. The bishop will be on b7, and we are just gonna try to crush our opponent. Also, we can open up the center because our opponent is attacking on the side, and the golden rule is, if your opponent is attacking you on the side, answer in the center. So we are gonna take this d4 pawn. We are gonna try to win some tempo here with the move c5, because that is gonna attack the queen, so the queen has to go back. But before doing that, perhaps we need to place our bishop to b7, because otherwise we're gonna weaken the diagonal so much. So remember the first rule, develop all of the pieces. That is what we are gonna do here. Now we are ready for it. Not sure, maybe we should somehow start differently, because if we play c5 immediately, then this knight can come to d5. On the other hand, we're gonna get a lot of space afterwards, so still makes sense. Let's go for it. b4, I mean, it's difficult to prepare. We need to play a5, but then a3 is possible. That would take too much time. We need to be energetic, we need to be fast. If you give too much time for your opponent, he's gonna use it and he's gonna crush you. Now my idea is that this bishop is rather stupid, whereas my bishop is constantly putting pressure on this pawn. And what's important is to play against this knight on g3, because once it appears on f5, it could be a really strong one. So I want to play g6 right now. Yes, it weakens somewhat my dark squares, but I have a dark squares bishop, which is gonna be on this diagonal controlling everything. So bishop h6 is not a real problem for me. Otherwise, I need to finish my development here. I don't know, maybe bishop g5, just exchanging, although maybe I should just focus on my development instead. Knight e7, maybe knight b6, because I put even more pressure on that pawn on d5. Yeah, rook on e1 is good. I don't think he's gonna sacrifice in exchange, so let me play knight b6, because it's making this development more difficult. You cannot play queen e2 anymore, for example, because d5 is gonna be hanging. And now I can play bishop f6. It's so important to make moves with a tempo, because now my opponent has to play rook b1 and I win yet another time, yet another tempo to play something. Knight d4 is a little bit annoying, so maybe I should place my bishop on d4, so that after knight d4 I can take on d5 with some tempo here. And so there is no knight f6 check in between. Rook e8 might be on my agenda, but before doing that I probably need to develop my queens there, because otherwise takes and bishop takes. Yeah, he still plays knight d5. That is very interesting. So he is intending knight xd6, I guess, and then knight xb7. So I should be careful with knight c3. I can also take with a bishop, take on g2, and then play the move knight to d5. I like it a lot. I mean, d6 is still a weak pawn, so I don't need to defend it passively somehow. Just never go back. That is another rule that is gonna help you a lot in your own chess games. Just never go back, please. Just follow my advice. I mean, if that's the only way, if there is no other opportunity to save your pieces or your king maybe, then of course that's the thing you should do. But otherwise, try to always find a way to go forward, like this knight d5 move. That is now creating so many threats for the opponent. Okay, I guess I can exchange here, because my bishop is gonna be stronger than the knight. I need to speed up a little bit, because my opponent might have a big time advantage. I need to finally finish my development. Remember the first rule, very very important. Doesn't matter which stage of the game it is, developing is everything. Rook e8, I don't really like this retreating move, although probably at some point you need to do that. And maybe let's bring king to g7 to avoid any checks, and at this point let's really speed up, let's make the moves faster. I need to try to create some threats for the opponent. Maybe I need to just exchange all of the rooks and bring my queen there, because it seems like I don't really have any weaknesses. Thanks to this bishop, it's controlling everything, although I have to be careful with some knight d6 ideas, because the combination of the knight and the queen is very very dangerous. So you should always be careful. Well, we are playing against 2400 rated player, very very strong one, so there is no surprise he's creating so many threats for us. Yeah, now d5 maybe. I mean, feels a little bit risky, but it doesn't create any threats, that's the problem, and the opponent is attacking. On h5 I'm prepared to take it. f6, still my bishop is controlling that square. Okay, he's fine with exchanging it, but probably I am not. So I really want to play a4, although it doesn't really help me. Maybe h6 should be on my agenda too after I exchange those pawns. Or maybe play a3, I'm not sure what is better. It's really hard to say. Maybe I should have exchanged. Well, now I could exchange once I don't have that weakness along the a file anymore, because everything would be protected. Although I still should be very careful with queen's exchange. Okay, 32 seconds. Hopefully I can play h6. Knight g5. And maybe knight g5 is possible. Okay, he doesn't play it. It helps me a lot. How to penetrate into my opponent's camp? That is a problem. Oh no, now I'm allowing some kind of tricks. Okay, he doesn't go for it. Now we reach the endgame. Yeah, I'm not getting anything here, but at least I hope not to lose a game, because, well, I don't really have any weaknesses. c5 pawn is the only one, but I'm gonna be able to defend it. And maybe even go through with my king. Yeah, now he's doing something weird that might give me some chances. Don't have any time, but my bishop is protecting the c5 pawn, whereas my king is going... Yeah, let's just pre-move king to c3, because I don't see any way to blunder a fork there. And otherwise I might even go for the a2 pawn and then just promote. I mean, that is very unexpected, but that is what happens. I just need to avoid those checks. And now I am promoting another queen. Still, with a knight it's always very very tricky, so let's just take it and promote another one. And of course 9 seconds is more than enough to deliver a checkmate. I guess the opponent should resign at this point, but he doesn't want to. Let's promote another queen then. Okay, so hopefully you have enjoyed this game. I mean, that was a spectacular one. Hopefully you remember those 3 principles. Develop your pieces, make sure your king is safe, and then create a plan like it was the queen side attack in this case. And you saw that helped in the end of the day, where my king penetrated to the white's camp and destroyed those pawns. So hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and in this one I'm showing you another essential skill that you need to be successful in chess, and I'm showing you how you can use it in your own games.